Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the session on the GoAnywhere MFT and how it addresses the banking file transfer challenges. So today, my name is Sarin Ninan. I'm the product manager for GoAnywhere MFT at Bulwark Technologies. And along with me, I have Shibu Kurian, who's a senior technical consultant for the GoAnywhere MFT solution. So we both will be taking you through the different aspects of GoAnywhere MFT and the demos as well. So if you look at the agenda for today, we have the introductions from Bulwark and also about GoAnywhere MFT and Helpsystems, and of course the 10 common file transfer challenges that we face. And so we will also be looking at what an MFT is, and then we will be taking you through an introduction to GoAnywhere MFT, the different use cases, and the live demo. And if you have any questions, please, as I mentioned, please share it through the chat window during the session itself. So along with us, we have, of course, the DataWide team. They are one of our major partners in the region. So Shibu, to the next slide, please. So about our partnership with Bulwark and GoAnywhere. So we have started our engagement. So as you all know about Bulwark Technology, so we are cybersecurity specialized BAD in the region. We started our operations in 1999. Sorry. And we represent 22 plus vendors across the region. And also, we have partnered with Linoma Software. So Linoma Software was the previous name of GoAnywhere MFT or Helpsystems. And later it was acquired by Helpsystems in 2016. So we have a dedicated sales, marketing, and technical team for the GoAnywhere MFT. And of course, we have 4 certified technical engineers as well. And of course, we have our partner is DataWide. And DataWide, they have a very huge market share in KSA as well. And they are one of our major partners in the region. So going to Helpsystems. So as you can see, Helpsystems is in the region for almost 35 years, and they have about 25 plus offices worldwide. And if you talk about Helpsystems, they have 18,000 plus customers virtually in almost every industry. And they are also one of the pioneer in the cybersecurity because they have a lot of products or solutions under their umbrella. The next slide, please. So when it comes to GoAnywhere MFT, so I'll just quickly brief you through what the GoAnywhere MFT is. So GoAnywhere MFT is a managed file transfer solution. So what it mainly gives us, it mainly provides us with a centralized control or a centralized solution, which helps us to give ad hoc file transfer, complete auditing of the file transfers within your organizations and also to your external parties, and automated workflow or workflow automation between your servers inside your organization or between entities as well. And it also does a document collaboration wherein you can exchange files between users. So here, in a simplified way, how we can call the GoAnywhere MFT. So what it mainly does, 3 things. That's system-to-system file transfer that I mentioned earlier, using different protocols like SFTP, FTPS, and HTTPS. Then user-to-system and also user-to-user file transfers, which replaces major of the file transfer solutions which we usually use in our daily lives, like Usend, Dropbox, and Simplicity, Axelion kind of solutions. And GoAnywhere also has 2 flavors. That is another main important feature. So it is a one solution and with centralized control with both secure file transfer, that is for the user-to-user file transfer, and also the file automation. So it has a combined solution which has a single centralized control. So Shibu, you can move to the next slide, please. Yes. So here you can see the managed file transfer data quadrant for 2019. And when you look at it, here you can see that GoAnywhere MFT is in the leaders quadrant, and in the leaders quadrant, of course, we are on the top. So the solution, the GoAnywhere MFT, it helps you meet the PCI DSS compliance, which is a mandatory requirement for all the BFSI sector, and of course other compliance requirements like HIPAA, FIPS, and all those things are covered as well. So again, if you come to the 2020 Infotech MFT data quadrant, so here the GoAnywhere MFT leads as #1 again MFT solution in the region according to the Infotech research group. So it has the highest satisfaction score and the net emotional footprint when compared to the competitors in the market. So here you can see that we are in the leaders quadrant again and also at the top of the leaders quadrant. So that is why it is considered as the #1 MFT solution, which has been trusted by many of the banking organizations in the region and also in the other industries as well. So these are some of our Middle East customer references. So we have about 50 plus. 50 plus is a pretty old number, but we have more than 50 plus customers in the region. And here you can see some of our customers who are using, especially in the BFSI sector, these are the different customers that are using the MFT solution. So apart from BFSI, we also have customers in government, ministries, and also enterprises as well. And next slide. So as I mentioned earlier, so for GoAnywhere MFT, we have worldwide we have around over 3,000 plus customers. So you can see in different verticals what are the different or customers we have in different verticals as well. So these are mainly about it. So I will transfer to Shibu, who will take you over to the details of the MFT, and also he will be going through a demo session as well. So over to you, Shibu.
All right. So good morning once again, everyone, and thanks for joining the session. So I'll just continue with the slide. So just to start with the 10 common file transfer challenges, which generally we see from organizations, especially from the BFSIs and other verticals. So one of the common challenge we see is that organizations are still using all technologies like FTPs or PC tools, or even like WinSCP or these kind of free tools, or even the scripts, which has been developed by the team. And using the scripts, organizations are still actually relying on doing the file transfer automation. So that is pretty clear that FTPs are old technology because it's no more secure. The data transfer which is happening to the FTPs, in a clear text, so it's not secure at all. And of course, if you rely on third parties or scripts, the major problem is that how you can maintain the script. So if you are writing a script by one of your developer, and probably if you want to do some changes in your script, of course you need that developer to be in place, or if the developer has already left, it's a big difficulty for an organization to maintain. So that's one of the challenges you generally see from the organization to organization. And second thing is that the relying on emails to share the sensitive files. So we know that emails are, it's very, very common that a lot of attacks are happening towards the email. So it can be through phishing or farming or impersonation attacks, or, or whaling attacks. So we are seeing a lot of attacks daily happening to the email. So even though organizations are having email filter or different security solutions, still we are seeing that emails is one of the common reason for for an attack. So now how do you make sure that especially if you want to send very sensitive files, how can you trust that the file which I have sent through the email is securely received, it reaches to my recipient, or there is no man-in-middle attack or nothing happen in between, so it is not been tampered. So how do you make sure that there is no any kind of an issue happen? Third issue is when it comes to the large files. Definitely, we always have a limitation while sending through email. Depends on your email security features, like whether it's a 12 MB files or 15, or some emails, some email setting you can even make it to 22 MB. But if you have any files which is more than that, maybe a 50 MB file or 1 GB or more than that, how do you share the files? So generally we see that people or organizations actually depend on third-party tools like or cloud solutions to actually share the files. And there, when you rely on third parties, so cloud solution, you basically don't have trust on that. You don't know whether the files which you're uploading, it relays secure, or you don't have a control over the cloud service model if you go with. Another kind of thing which we generally see is, especially when it comes to the BFSIs and governments, you might be dealing with different entities. Definitely, for example, you might be dealing daily with central banks or different other banks, or you might be dealing with the governments or other entities. So you generally want to push some files to those entities, or you want to pull some files from their so their systems. So it can be an SFTP to SFTP, or it can be an FTPS, or different other protocols like AS2 or AS4. Different protocols might be there. So generally, what we see is that still organizations are depending on scripts, or probably using a manual task to push the files to a third party or pull the files from the third parties. So that means you're still relying on manual tools that can even end up in human errors. Other common reason is, again, continuation to the point 4 we discussed. When you have these kind of repetitive tasks, that means if a human being is actually going and doing these kind of pushing and pulling, so there are a lot of tasks a person has to do. That means, the productivity of that person is actually less, because the daily he or she is doing the same job. Other one is maintaining the scripts that, as we discussed already, if you're relying on any other scripts, it's very important that you need to maintain that script, because maybe if there is any vulnerability within that script, you need to actually fix those vulnerabilities. Or if you want to change something in the script, you always need to do that. So now when it comes to this, definitely when you want to change something in your existing script, you need to have a developer in place who should be able to know that, or who has probably developed that, and he can only go and do the changes. Otherwise, it will impact your entire file transfer process. So generally what we see from organizations is that the script might be developed by someone else, and currently they don't have any contract with them. So if you have such problems, it will end up in difficulty in maintaining the script. And other is auto retrieve options. Definitely when when you definitely do a file transfer kind of an option, and in between if there is any communication issue happen, then if you don't have an automated process to retry that, then that is also again another issue. And the 8th point is the central system. So when you don't have a central system in place, and if you're relying on bits and pieces of scripts and different other cloud service model, as Sarin was saying, for example, maybe for your file transfers, you are depending on OneDrive or any other different solutions. And for your automation, you are depending on other scripts. Then you don't have a central system in place, which is actually monitoring everything. So that means you don't have a visibility in place, which tells that these are the files being transferred, these are the files being received, how many users are there, which kind of file is being sent. So that limitation is always there when you don't have a central system or central auditing solution. And the point 9 is also very important, especially when employees start sending the file, right? For example, if you don't have a central system in place, and let's say your employees maybe accidentally or intentionally, there is a chance that one of your sensitive file might go outside your network. If you don't have a proper integration with your DLP or any kind of security solution, then there is a chance these kind of issues can happen. So that means whenever an employee is trying to send a file outside, and if it is not checked, through a DLP or any other system in place, then there is a chance that file can go out. So definitely you need to have a solution in place. Then only you can make sure that only allowed files are being sent outside. And the last point is the alerting mechanism. The limitation on we generally see from organizations, they actually raise as a concern that we are not being alerted. We need an alert system which give us in real time saying that these kind of problems are happening. When a file is being sent, they should get an alert. So these are some of the points which you just correlated from different organizations, especially from BFSIs, and that's why we thought of just showing this to so you guys, so that if you face any of this file transfer challenge, definitely we can address those. So to summarize, these are the issues we talk about, the traditional file transfer approach, where you might be depending on FTPs or emails or cloud solutions to do the file transfer and automation. And this is where the managed file transfer solution comes into the picture. So MFT, as a GoAnywhere MFT, can help you. So it can actually automate and secure your file transfer using a centralized enterprise level approach. That means you have a central system, all your process, all your file transfers, all your automation, everything happens within that system. So you don't need to worry on any of the problems which you talk about. So that means we give you a complete automation. So that makes sure that you don't need to do much manual task. Whatever currently you are doing with your manual task, whether pushing or pulling your files, or you have some data translation which you're doing manually, or DB querying. So these all process you can actually completely automate through GoAnywhere system. And second thing is the encryption side. So the data at rest and transit is fully encrypted. So that means whatever files, data which resides in GoAnywhere platform is fully encrypted with AES 256. And the data which is on motion or transit, which is being sent to the recipient, is also encrypted using SSL or TLS standards. So that means you can make sure, you can relax, you can say that all my data, all my files being sent or received is fully encrypted. And even if when your auditors comes, you can easily tell that we are comply with your with the regulations. And of course, the security factors are there to make sure that you are actually whitelisting, blacklisting the IPs. You are only making sure that those allowed IPs can only talk and transfer the files. You have a complete auditing to make sure that everything, you have a complete visibility into your file transfers. And last, the compliance. Definitely GoAnywhere MFT can help you in complying your regulations, whether it's a PCI DSS or NISA or SAMA compliance. So definitely it will help you in achieving that. So we give you a secure file transfer management to make sure that everything goes through the same system. You have a central administration to make sure that the administration things are pushed globally. So you don't need to have, you don't need to worry about the individual policy. You can actually globally push the policies. You have a complete traceability and control. You have an automation in place which will make sure that your entire file transfer and process is secure and automated. So getting into the introduction of GoAnywhere MFT, as you can see, it starts in the down. You can see the platforms which we support. So that means GoAnywhere is a software solution which can be installed in your virtual VM platform or Hyper-V or any platform. It can be an on-premise, as well as if you have a private cloud, you can also deploy over there as well. We support all those different platforms like Windows, Linux, IBM, X, Solaris, Unix, Mac. So we support all these different platforms. That means you can install GoAnywhere MFT in any of these platforms, and on-premise as well as in your private cloud. And we support all major file services, like we support SFTP, SCP, FTP, SFTP, AS2, HTTPS. You can see all different file services which are available in the market. We already support that. It is just a matter of adding the license, which module you would like to go with, and you can make GoAnywhere server as a it acts as whatever file service you would like to have. And we also have a cloud integration. That means we can integrate with Amazon, Azure, other web services using SOAP or REST APIs. So if you have any applications which you would like to call, or you want GoAnywhere MFT to call your APIs, you can actually design the workflows, projects based on that. We can support that. And we support the major all databases like MS SQL, MySQL, DB2, Postgres, Sybase. So we have a huge integration with all these databases. We can in fact integrate with your application. So if you have any batch scripts, or you have any kind of programs which you would like to call using GoAnywhere, we can also do the same way. We can integrate with those scripts. So you can say that I have few batch scripts which I want to run it in daily at a particular time, or I have some applications which I want to call up. So you can actually integrate all these things using GoAnywhere, and you can easily automate this process. We in fact have integration using ICAP protocol. That means if you have a DLP in place, or you have an antivirus system, or you have any digital rights management system, you can seamlessly integrate with those platforms. That means, for example, if a third-party person is uploading a file to your system, so before it reaches to your platform, GoAnywhere MFT can send a copy of that file to your antivirus system using ICAP protocol for the scanning. And if that file is clear, if the file doesn't have any malware, then only system will allow that file to come to your network. And at the same time, if one of your internal employees is sending a file to outside, we can interrupt in between, and we can send a copy of that file to your DLP system, and your DLP system can actually scan and check and say that it is allowed or allowed to send or not. If it is allowed, then only we will allow the user to send the file outside. And the last part is the MFT agent. We also have an agent. That means if you have any other subsidiary offices, you have branch offices, or if you have any other customers where you want to integrate with that as well, we can do. That means there's an agent which can sit in your remote office or your customers, and it can monitor your files and push the files to your central location. Or if you want to do kind of monitoring or PGP encryption, or you want to call some other SFTP, we can actually do it using GoAnywhere MFT agent. And the top, you can see the automation part. As I was saying, workflow automation part. While I'm just going through other few slides, I'll just get into the interface and show you how it exactly looks like. So that is pretty easy in GoAnywhere to create a workflow. It's a very simple interface. Now you don't need to depend on any scripts. You can centralize your scripts to the automation. In GoAnywhere, it's a drag and drop option. It's a HTML5 based interface. You can simply drag and drop, and you can create a project. And in that project, you can decide how you want to have it. You can push, pull, compress, encrypt, PGP encryption, or whatever the different tasks you want to call up, you can call up, and you can create a project within minutes. So that's the beauty of the solution. It's very easy. Even a non-technical guy can go ahead and create a project and doesn't need any much technical knowledge in creating this, or any other Java or any other language. A person doesn't need to know that even for creating the project. And of course, we support encryption, compression, data translation. That means we can even do the data translation from one format to other. So for example, as a banking or a BFSI, you might be having, you might be getting some files where your engineers or your team should have to translate that from Excel to CSV, or CSV to Excel, or from a text file to other format. So you don't need to do these kind of things manually. You can easily create a project in GoAnywhere. So the GoAnywhere system can go and automate that process. And we have a scheduler by default inbuilt with the solution. That means you don't need to depend on third-party schedulers, or you don't need to depend on Windows schedulers. You can have a scheduler inbuilt, and you can start scheduling the projects based on your requirements. And we have a monitoring, folder monitoring. We can say that if a folder has been, if a file comes to a particular folder, you can go and run a project. Similarly, you have inbound and outbound facility where you can use it for the file transfers. You have ad hoc and batch file transfers. You can do it. You can have file syncing and sharing to make sure that you have your file synced between your mobile app, between your desktop client and interface, so that wherever you go, you can actually access your file and do the collaboration. We have secure custom forms. This is specifically for if you have any requirements where you want to move to complete digitalization. That means you don't need to depend on a paper-based approach, and you want to move to digital forms, and you can create your own digital forms, and you can supply to your partners, or you can embed within your interface, your company interface, and you can actually give the option for the users to give feedback back to you. So secure mail and other things, it's just a summary of what GoAnywhere MFT provides. And again, we can make sure, all this orchestration, you can actually do it through GoAnywhere system, and you can make sure that the file guarantee delivery. So especially what happens is that when you're sharing a file to your third parties, how do you make sure that, the recipient has saw the file, or recipient received that file? So this GoAnywhere will make sure that you can guarantee your file delivery. You can make sure that the file which you send to the recipient once you download or see the file, you will get notifications, so you can make sure that the file is delivered. And we of course have an automation, which we already discussed about creating different workflows. We can integrate with your SIM, we can integrate with your DLPs, antivirus systems, even any kind of electronic document transfers. If you have, we can do that. And of course, you can exchange between your partners and third parties. It's a complete end-to-end encryption which we provide. That means what we discussed about the challenges when you send a file through email, there are possibility where there is a clear text and someone can interrupt in between. Wherein in GoAnywhere MFT, it's a complete end-to-end encryption. That means only the source, only the sender and the recipient can actually only see the file, and in between, no one will be able to hijack or do a man in middle. Because it's a complete end-to-end encryption, only the sender and recipient can see and access the file. And we also have an acceleration. If you have any kind of huge file transfer, you have a very huge files and you want to do the file transfer, we also have a proprietary protocol which we call it as GoFast. And using that, we can do the very big file transfers. So it's just it will be 2 times more, it will be 2 times faster than a normal file transfer solution. So if you have any such requirements, we can also cop up using GoAnywhere MFT. And the last but not least, it's a compliance regulation part, which we already discussed previously. So it's a PCI, or if you are, depending on if you have any PCI DSS compliance, or if you have any SAMA compliance in place, definitely GoAnywhere MFT can help you in complying to these regulations. So this slide, I just put it to just to give you an idea about, give you an idea about the BFSI use cases. Definitely, these points which you are took it based on our experience with other customers. So what we see from other banks or other BFSIs is that, especially they were previously having scripts. They were using a lot of scripts and bits and pieces of scripts they were using. And other thing is that they were even manually doing, and to talk to central banks or other banks. Definitely, as a bank or BFSIs, you might be talking to different banks. You might be talking to central bank. So central bank probably sharing your WPS files or related to those files. They'll be putting on one of the folder, and you have to call to central bank SFTP and pull the files from there. Or you want to probably push some files to central bank. Or similarly, you want to push or pull some banks files between other banks or to government. So different kind of use cases you might be having. So if you're relying on scripts, as we discussed, you need to maintain the scripts. And if in between, if there is any problem in the scripts, how do you identify? How do you get notified if there is any problem within the scripts? And if you want to do any changes to the scripts, that is also another problem. And second point is a human intervention, especially for the PGP encryption, decryption. So as a bank or as a BFSI, you might be dealing with other third parties. So definitely you might want them to do the encryption, decryption. And when they send you an encrypted file, you probably need to use the specific key and decrypt that, right? Or if you are sending a file to them, you need to use a specific key and encrypt and send to the third parties. So if you're going and doing this manually, there are a lot of efforts, because the keys, first of all, need to be protected. Otherwise, there is no point of encrypting that, right? So if a person is going and doing the encryption, decryption, and if the key is with him, there is a probability where that key can be misused, or someone gets that key, they can actually do the same process. And second thing is that there are a lot of overhead for the user to do this process manually. And other scenarios which we say is the data translation, like as a bank, maybe your application team or DB team, they might be, they might be doing a lot of overhead. They might be having overhead to do the data translation from one format to other. That means from moving from Excel sheet to CSV, CSV to Excel. So they might be reading the file, copying the content, translating from one format to another. So probably they might be doing it manually. Or if you want to do some kind of a DB query, so that means, for example, you want to generate a report, you want to call up to Oracle and fire a query, and that result you want to write it into a CSV or an Excel sheet, or you want to submit to your management. So if you're doing it manually, again, that's another overhead. Or if you want to do some kind of a file comparison, you have an CSV file and you want to compare that between these two files and make sure that it is correct. So if you're doing it manually, then again, there are a lot of overhead. There are a problem, maybe a human error can happen. And auto retry option is, again, if the communication got disconnected, and if there is no auto retry, that is another problem. And auditing is minimal, and if you don't have a central system in place, that's another issue. So how GoAnywhere has helped? So definitely, once you implement GoAnywhere is going to be a centralized system for you, and all the administration, everything happens through that. Now you can decide what kind of protocol you would like to call up, whether you want to implement SFTP or FTPS or HTTPS. So you can decide what kind of protocol you would like to enable. And you can automate all your PGP and encryption, decryption process, or you can automate your all kind of human intervention or scripting thing, which we talk about, and you can have a complete visibility into your file transfer. So that's what all the problems what we discussed previously, and whatever the inefficiency which you might be having currently, you can actually eliminate that, and you can completely move to an automated process. So with that, I will just move on to the use cases. Definitely, this will be more interesting for you to understand. Like I have picked a few use cases from with our experience with other BFSIs. And definitely, while I'm going through a few use cases, I'll just get into the demo as well and show you how we create a project and how the interface looks like. So to start with, the first one is the eliminating the public file shares, right? So we were discussing about this, that currently if you want to share very big files, definitely you cannot share it through email. So you need to depend on any kind of third parties like OneDrive or Dropbox or these kind of solutions in the market. Now, when you depend on a public cloud, now how do you make sure that the file which you are sharing, you have a full control over there? That means, for example, if you're choosing OneDrive, so that means you are actually trusting Microsoft that whatever files you are sending to the OneDrive, they will encrypt it, and the encryption key is always with them, right? So when you are having a cloud service model, that means you don't have control over there, because definitely we know that when we talk about an encryption, whether it's an AES 128 or 258, 256 encryption, here it doesn't matter what kind of length, of course the key length matters, definitely that gives you more protection. But if the encryption key is not with you, and if it is someone managed, and someone, accidentally someone got that key, there's no point of encrypting that data, right? Because they can use that key and they can go and decrypt that. So when you're depending on public cloud, definitely you are trusting that, Microsoft or other parties, they will encrypt my data and they will secure your encryption key securely. But we are seeing a lot of attacks daily happening with the cloud service model, right? So it's a good practice to always move to a private cloud, and that is how GoAnywhere MFT could help you. That means you are actually deploying the solution either in your on-premise, or you can deploy in your private cloud, wherever in your Amazon or Azure. Now you have the full control of that system. That means all your encryption keys are with you, all your files are secured, and you are managing your keys. Now you can have a complete visibility of what is happening in your network. So instead of depending on public cloud, you can actually seamlessly move to a private cloud, and thereby you can make sure that all your files are secure. And the second point which I would like to discuss, especially at this point of time, which is this COVID situation, or in this pandemic situation, maybe many of your users or they are working from home, right? So they might be working from different locations. Now, probably you might have given them VPN connections to access their files or to access your systems, right? So now VPN it's a secure VPN, it's a virtual private network. Of course, it gives you the security, but it doesn't give you a security in accessing the file, right? So you might open the ports to the files, and to a file server, then they can upload, they can download, they can copy. You don't have a track in your VPN logs, right? How many files has been copied, how many files has been sent. You don't have that logs in your VPN network, right? So there is always a gray point where you don't know complete visibility into the network. And this is where GoAnywhere can help you. So whatever your current shares, so that means whether the user is having their own file shares in your network, so you can publish this, through GoAnywhere. That means in the left-hand side, you see that I, as a user, I am having this my access, which is in my computer, and all my files are there in my folder. Now, what I've done is I have integrated with GoAnywhere MFT so that everything has been moved to an HTTPS. And this means when I can simply, even if I am in my home, I can go ahead, I can just log into my portal and I can access all my files. I can download it, or I can upload my new files. I can share it to the third parties, and I have a complete visibility of what the admin has a complete visibility of how many files being shared, downloaded, uploaded, or even you can integrate with your DLP system. That means, for example, even if I am in a home and I am trying to send a sensitive file through the system, still it will go to the DLP. It will make sure that whether it is allowed to send or not. If it is allowed, then only that file will go outside the network. So even though in the situation, even though your users are remote or in different location, you can publish this system through GoAnywhere, and you can make sure that you are following a best practice and you have a complete visibility of all your files which is being sent and received. So let me quickly show you how it looks like. Okay, so you see that this is an interface. So for example, you can choose different options. So if you're going with the web portal, this is how it looks like. Or if you want to have an SFTP using any kind of WinSCP or FileZilla, you can actually choose that also. We support all different functionalities. So in this demo, I'm showing you a simple web portal. So I have an account. I can integrate with Active Directory as well. So that means I don't need to have a local created account. I can even log in using my AD user. And here you can also have a two-factor authentication if you want. That means GoAnywhere itself is having a 2FA. And after the username and password, I'll be asked for an OTP, and then only I'll be able to log in. This is something you can enable or disable for the users. And if you don't have a 2FA in place, you can easily utilize GoAnywhere on 2FA. Or if you already have a 2FA in place, like Vasco or RSA or any kind of solutions or Microsoft MFA, you can integrate using Radius, and that way you can have a 2FA functionality. So in this case, I'm just logging using one of my credential. So when I am into my profile, I can go to the files. And here you see that whatever is my current share folder. So that means if I go back to my computer, so let's say this is my computer. And if I go to this is my office computer. So if I go to my office computer, I can see this is my SFTP folder where I put all my files over here. Okay. So whatever files I put it in my folder. Okay. And I can see all the files through my web interface. Suppose, for example, here, I'm going and creating a file here. So whatever files comes over here, you will be automatically see from the web interface. That means whatever is your current files in your share folders, that can be published through an interface. So even if you're outside working from home, doesn't matter, everything can be accessed from a web interface, and you have a complete track of what the users do. So when you go to the admin interface, admin can see that this user has uploaded a file, downloaded a file, he has shared this file. You have a complete picture of your access. That's something I want to show you in this second use case. Now let's move on to the third use case. So this is one thing, this is something we were talking about, the problems of emails, right? So when especially you want to send a big file, or you want to send a very sensitive file to one of your third parties, maybe it is a payment related or fund related thing, and we are actually afraid to send it through email because there are possibility where someone can track, someone can hack in between, someone can see what the file is exactly. So here what we are going to offer is that it's a complete end-to-end encryption. That means whatever files you're sending through GoAnywhere, it will be fully encrypted. So when the sender who is going to send the file and the recipient who is going to get the download the file can only access, and in between it will be a complete end-to-end encryption. So this will make your life easier. So now you can relax. You can make sure, whatever big files you want to share it, or whatever sensitive files you want to share it, you can easily send it through GoAnywhere system, and GoAnywhere system will actually make sure that it is fully secured. And at the same time, we also have an Outlook plugin option as well. That means if you don't want to go to a web portal and do that, you can easily do it from your Outlook itself. We have a plugin option for that. So I'll show you how it exactly looks like. So now again, if we go back to the option which we talk about in the web, so there is an option called secure mail. Okay, so in the secure mail, I can say that I can click on compose. So this is similarly like normal how you send an email, and I can put the email address of whom to I want to send it. If I want to have a CC I can put that. I can say that it's a sensitive file, so I can put a message. And I can put a message, a body. And here you see that I can put an expiry for the package. So I can say that this package should only be, only having the expiry for 1 day, 2 day, I can make it out. So that means after 2 days or 1 day, this package will get expired. So now, the user will not be able to download anymore after this thing. And if I want to have a read receipt, I can also enable read receipt option. That means when the recipient download that, I will get a notification about the file. And now I can simply go here. I can choose whatever the files I want to upload. And I can simply click on send. And when I'm sending, I can also define a limitation for the download. That means I'm saying that I am only allowing one-time download. And that means if the recipient tries to forward to someone else, it will not be usable for that. And if I want to allow reply, so allow reply is again, for example, I am sending a file to a third-party person, and I want that third-party person to work on that document, send it back to me. I can mention allow reply option. So that means within the same email chain, I can actually call that file back. And the last one is the password protection. So if I want to enable a password protection, so I want to make sure that the file which I'm sending to the recipient should have a password protection. After the password, only the recipient will be able to see that. Then I can click on that as well, and I simply go ahead and click on send. Okay, so this means I am actually putting a very end-to-end encryption. Then I don't need to worry now. The file which I'm sharing is secure and it is protected. It is having an expiry. It is having a limitation. So all those different security points I can actually enable to make sure that the sensitive files or the large files I am securing in a proper way. So here, instead of 1 MB, if I have 2 GB or 5 GB or 10 GB, whatever big files I have, I can seamlessly share it through this process. Okay. And one more option I have here is a request file. So request file is something, let's say you have a third-party person and you are saying that I want him to send me a file. So what you do is simply put his email address. So whatever email address you have, just tell her, okay, please upload your file. So you can message, you can put a message here, and you can put an expiry if you want, and you can click on send. That means the third-party recipient will get a link, and using that link, he can go ahead and upload his file and send it back to you. Okay. And this is how the recipient will see. For example, so the recipient will get a notification like this. So the recipient will see that you got a secure delivery. Either the following file has been sent by this user, and this is the file name. And now he can go ahead and click on download files, and he'll be asking for the password. Now the password will be sent as a second email, and you can get the password, and you can put the password over here. You can click on submit, and user can go ahead and download the file. So since I enable the reply sender, if I want to work on this document and I want to reply back, I can click on reply and I can choose a file. I can send it back to the user. So this is how I can generally do that. And similarly, the request file option. So this is how, so if you want to send a request file link, so it will send like this. You got a file request. When I click on upload file, I can upload my file and send it back to the user. So this is how you can seamlessly send your files using secure mail option. And the good thing with this GoAnywhere is that you can do this thing from your Outlook itself. You don't need to depend. If you don't want to go to a web, you can simply do it from your Outlook, because in your Outlook you already have you are working with your Outlook itself. So what you can simply click on new email and you will see these options, right? So you have your normal attachment here, and at the same time you have your GoAnywhere attachment here. So if you are, I will show you the difference. I am going here and attaching the normal attachment. So you see that. At the same time, I am going here and attaching through GoAnywhere system. So you see this difference here. The moment when I click on attach file, it got encrypted. So this is an encrypted file. Okay. So that means, but if you see the normal attachment, it is not an encrypted. So that means you can actually relax whatever files you want to share it. You can simply share it through the Outlook itself, and the recipient will get an email and he can download it straight away from there. Okay, so this is the normal way how you send it your email through your Outlook. And if you want to send a file request, you can actually click on this. You can put the user who or the email address, and you can send a file request link, and recipient will get the file request and he will be able to upload the file. And if you go to send items, you can see that it's a complete end-to-end encrypted. So even the exchange guy want to see something, he cannot. He can see only a package ID like this. He won't be able to see what the file, how it looks like. He won't be able to see anything on top of it. So you can make sure that only the recipient can see that. Okay, so that is all about the secure file transfer. And the other use cases is the accessing your file from anywhere. So this is also another use case generally, maybe especially at this point of time where your your users, they might be working from home, they might be traveling, they might be in office. So you want to have a process which will give you the files from anywhere. That means you want to have a mobile app functionality, you want to have a desktop client functionality, you want to have an interface functionality where the file which is there will be synced between each other, and wherever you go, you can access your file. For example, you are in travel. Now you have your mobile app, you took a video and you want to upload that video through. So you can simply go to GoAnywhere mobile app. You can just put your files over there. The moment when you upload the file, it will get synced to your desktop client as well as it will sync to your interface as well. Or at the same time, you are in your office and you are uploading a file to your your desktop client. So the moment when you upload the file, it will get synced to all this mobile app as well as interface. That means it will give you a very easy way of accessing your files and you can do the collaboration. So let me show you quickly how it looks like. So now when you go back to your, we have something called Go Drive. So when you go back to here, so whatever files you upload here, it will get synced to your mobile app as well as your desktop client. So in my desktop, I have a client. So this is how the client looks like. So this is a GoAnywhere client. So if you see, once you have this client installed in your laptop, you will see a map drive like this. Okay, so now you can simply put your files here. So I'm just opening up one more folder. So I can simply, so whatever files I want to put over here, I can just go here. I can select, I want to put these two files. So yes, I can just simply drag and drop these files to this folder. So when I just drag and drop these files to my desktop folder, you will see that automatically these files will get synced to my interface as well as to my mobile app. So now if I go to the interface, I should be able to see those files here. So within few seconds, within few minutes, those files will come. So that means whatever new files I'm putting here, Archon, PAM files which I put, you can see these files has come over here. So that means, it's a complete syncing. It's happening in real time. Or if you upload a file in your interface, it will automatically come to your. So if you go back to the downloads, if you put some files over here, the moment when you upload something, it will automatically come to your desktop client as well. Okay, so that means it is a complete file syncing option which will give you. So you see that the file which you put automatically it has come. At the same time, I have a mobile app in my phone. I can also access all these files in my phone, and I can upload or download the files. So we even have the offline option as well. So even if you're out of the network, you can actually enable the offline option and you can access your files. And we give you an advanced collaboration. So you can even do the collaborations here. So for example, you are going to start a project. Okay, now what you can do is you can create a project like this. I'm going to create a project I'm creating a folder called project 1. So I create a folder here. And now when I create a folder, I can go here and I can share this folder with my colleagues. So I'm saying that I'm going to share this with my one of my colleague, and I want to make him only as a viewer. So that means he can only view and download the file. But other person, I want to make him as a contributor who can view, download, upload, and add comments. Or another person, I can give him more privilege that he can rename, he can delete the file. So these are different options you can choose when you're sharing a folder. Okay, so and you can put this permissions and email notifications as well. That means once you share this file with this third person, and then when he put the file into the folder, it will automatically get synced, and users will be able to see, they can access everything within that. So we give you a complete collaboration for that. So moving on to the next slide, where we are talking about the automation. So here comes the automation part. So we were talking about all those issues where you need to depend on repetitive, if you have repetitive tasks, or if you have issues with the script. So now you can move it completely from this kind of scripts, manual intervention, to an automated approach. So that means GoAnywhere will give you a very easy way to create a project, and it's a complete drag and drop option. And we have around 60 plus unique tasks are there. That means you don't need to create anything, it's a simple drag and drop. And now you can create your own project and no need of any scripting, so everything can be simply automated. So this can be used for doing the file transfer between your internal systems, or if you have some applications, you can do projects created in GoAnywhere, so that you can say that when an application is sending a file, pick that file, push it to another application folder. Or if you have integration with other banks or central banks or third parties, you can easily create projects through this. So let me quickly show you how you create a project. So the project creations we are basically doing from the admin interface. So we have an admin interface. I am logging as an administrator here. So the first option is the dashboard. Okay, so that's the dashboard is very attractive dashboard. So that means for each administrators, they can create their own dashboard. For example, I am the person who is managing the workflow, so I can design my own dashboard. So I can say that I would like to see some graphical things. I would like to see some file activity. I would like to see some other IP address based blacklisting. So, I can create my own dashboard. So if it is a security person, he can create here his own dashboard based on his requirements. So the dashboard is fully customizable. You can add your own gadgets. You can add your own layouts, how you would like to see that. And accordingly, you can monitor your projects, monitor your file transfer. So you can see that how many projects are completed, how many projects, who is the top mail user activity, who is the top user, how many active sessions are there. You can see some graphical things. So these are all possible from a dashboard point. So it will give you an in-depth knowledge of what is happening in your network. Now going back to the workflows. So in the workflow, we have something called project. Okay. And this is where you are going and creating your projects. So when I talk about a project, you can connect with a script. For example, you have a requirement. Okay, now your requirement is that you have a central bank. You have your central bank. Now central bank is saying that we have created a folder for your bank, and we are pushing the file to that folder. Now what you need to do is we will give you the IP address, username, and password. You need to connect to our SFTP, and you need to look for today's file, and you need to pick the file from there. And that you can copy it and put it into your network. So this is one of your requirement. And when you are copying, you want to copy that file to your actual folder, and you want to archive it to another folder. So these are some of your requirements, for example. Now, for this, you might go ahead and create some kind of a scripts which can do this automated task, right? Or probably you can do this in manual fashion. Now in GoAnywhere, you can easily do this through a script, through a project. So what you do is simply go here, click on create a project, and there are a lot of sample templates are already available. You can choose any of that, and it will automatically show you all the templates. So you can either go ahead and do that, or you can create your own project. So here in this example, I'm showing this exact same thing. So I have created a project. So in the left hand side, you see all different tasks. So as I was saying, around 60 plus different tasks are there. That means if you want to connect to any of your cloud connectors, you want to connect to your Dropbox, or you want to connect to an Azure, you want to connect to your Microsoft. So we already have different connectors available for that. Or you want to do some kind of an encryption, compression. You want to do a tarring, zipping, you can do that. Or you want to call a database and you want to run some queries, you can do that. Or you want to do a data translation. That means you want to read an Excel sheet and write it to a CSV format, or you want to write, read something from a XML file and write it to a JSON format, write it to CSV. You can do that. Or you want to do an email, you want to monitor an email, and if the subject matches, you want to strip that attachment and send it to another different place. You can do that. Or you want to do some kind of a normal file systems, like you want to copy something, you want to check some, you want to create some file systems, you want to make a directory, merge some files, move, rename, search and replace, or you want to call an SFTP, or you want to call an FTPS and do different tasks, you can do that. You can also have integration with ICAP, or you want to do some kind of a commands call, you can do that. So around 60 plus 60, if you want to create some kind of loops, you can say that I want to put an if loop. I want to say that if this condition matches, then only you should go and do that. So I can create different kind of loops like this. If I want to do a PGP encryption, so we already have the PGP encryption, decryption, signing, verification in depth with that. Or if you have any MQ servers, message queue systems, and you want to do some activities in your message queue systems like sending, retrieving, you can actually do that. If you want to schedule some reports, or you want to call some APIs. So if you have some kind of an applications and you want to call and REST or SOAP APIs or get, delete, you can do that. So that means these are all different, around 66 plus different tasks are there. Okay. So how do you call? It's just a drag and drop. Just click and place it wherever you want to have it. This is how you actually place it. So you don't need to have any scripts. You don't need to even know what is Java or what is .NET, or you don't need to know anything. Just a simple drag and drop, and you can create your own projects. So now in this example, now what I have done is, here I am creating a workspace. So workspace is nothing but I can create a workspace in GoAnywhere for each job. And then I am making a timestamp. So why I'm making a timestamp is basically whenever I'm pulling a file from central bank and putting it into my network, I want to automatically create a folder with today's timestamp. Okay, so I'm putting like date, month, year. So I want the file timestamp should be shown like this. If you want to make in a different format, you can do that. So that's why I create a timestamp like this. And then what I'm telling is that go and create a directory. So I'm telling that go to this folder, and this is where I want to put the file. So I'm telling that go to this folder and create a folder with today's timestamp. Okay. And at the same time, I'm also instructing that go to my archive folder and creating a folder with today's timestamp. So I can create like this. So that means I created a timestamp. I went to one of my SFTP folder. I created a folder. Then I went to my archive folder. I created a folder. And then I am calling the SFTP functionality. So when I'm going to the SFTP, I can mention my SFTP server, and I can do a lot of different tasks. I want to get file, put file, append, change. So whatever I want to have it in my SFTP functionality, I can just do it very easily. So here what I'm doing is I am calling a get file. That means whenever a file comes in the central bank, what GoAnywhere will do is GoAnywhere will monitor that folder, and GoAnywhere will go and pick that file immediately and place it to your destination. And when it is placed to the destination, it will put a copy to your archive folder, and we can delete the workspace which we created. And if you want, we can get you a notification. You can say that a file has come. This is to inform to whoever you want to get a notification. We can actually put in this. It's a very simple project which I tell. So you might be having, if you're depending on script or if you're depending on manually at the moment, you can create a script. This script will take only hardly 5 to 10 minutes, and you can create a project like this, and you can keep your business running. So that's a very easy way of how you can create the project like this. Now, how I am monitoring, how I am running this project. Okay, I can run this project through different options. One is I can run it through a scheduler, I can run it through a monitor, or I can run it through a trigger. That means if I run it through a scheduler, I can say that create a schedule, and I can say that the schedule should run one time or a minutely, hourly, daily, how I want to run it. I can just mention that daily. Then I can say that daily at this particular time it should go and run it. I can create like that, or this is one option, or I can choose a monitor. So in this case, in the previous example, you see that I create something called central bank, and what I'm telling is that when I go to the central bank, I'm saying that monitor this central bank SFTP server, and if there is a file comes, so I can have different options here. If a file is created or modified or deleted, or if a file exists, I can go and start a project. I can say that run this project, and I already have the email notifications and all. And we also have a snapshot delay. So what is this? Basically, it says that in case if the file, central bank is pushing a file and it is a big file, so we will wait for that file to complete. After that file is fully copied, then only we will go and pick the file. So we have an automated process for that. Okay, we can do the file availability check, we can do the snapshot delay. So to make sure that the file is fully copied, then only we will go and copy the, move the file. Third option is trigger. We can also enable a trigger. So we can say that if there is any trigger happens, like for example, if a user uploader failed, if a user uploaded the file successfully, or if there is a rename file happens. So any of these triggers are matching, then go ahead and start a project. So there are different options to create a project, either through a scheduler, monitor, trigger, or even we can call it using an API or API or even command line. So this is how you can create projects. You can push the files between your entities or third parties or internal systems. So other use cases, the PGP encryption, which I told you, like, especially the keys. So whatever PGP keys you have, you can securely store in GoAnywhere. So GoAnywhere is having something called key management system, and you can deploy, you can upload all your keys. So whatever PGP or certificates you have, you can upload in GoAnywhere. So all the keys will be here. Now you can tell to the project. So I have a project here called which is for encryption. So here when it comes to the encryption, I am telling that okay, when I am doing the encryption, use this particular key and do the encryption or decryption. So you can tell all these things using the project. So that means you don't need to depend on manually when you're doing a PGP encryption or decryption. All your encryption keys or PGP decryption keys will be in a GoAnywhere system. This will make sure that your keys are secure. And at the same time, you can tell which key should be used for which project. For example, you have 10 banks, okay, and if you want to send a file to bank A, you want to use public key 1. Or if you want to send a file to bank B, you want to use public key 2. So you can design this based on your project, and the keys will be accordingly taken and encrypted and send it to the third parties. At the same time, when you receive a file from bank A, you can say that use this private key and decrypt it. So you can actually create it very easily, and you can secure that. Another option is the database queries. You can see from the snapshot itself, if you're currently struggling in doing these kind of queries in manually or through some tools, you can easily automate through GoAnywhere. So that means you can say that every day run a query and get the report and translate to a different format. Okay, so you can see in this example, I'm just running a cell query, and then I am writing that to a output variable, and then I can use this variable to write it into CSV or Excel or whatever format I want to have it. And you can do it, you can select, insert or update or delete any kind of queries you can automate it using GoAnywhere. So we support all databases like MS SQL, Oracle, Sybase, or Postgres. So we support all the different databases for that. And of course, you can do the data translations as well. So as we were discussing before, if you have any kind of formats where you want to do some kind of an data translation from one format to another, whether it's a CSV or XLS or a XML or JSON file, and you want to do the translation from one format to other, you can easily do it through GoAnywhere system. And of course, the digitalization. So you see in the screen, you can see like, currently, for example, you want to take some feedback from your employees. Let's say you want to take their MRS ID, or they want to take their latest mobile number or email address, or some information you want to gather from your employees. What you can do is you can create your own form. So this, whatever you see in the right hand side, company name, company address, you can decide. It is very easy to configure in GoAnywhere. You can create your own forms, and then these forms you can publish to users, either through GoAnywhere interface or through your interface. So here, if you see the example, I am in my user profile. So if I go to my interface, there are some. So if I go to my forms, you can see available forms. So I have a document signing, or I have a car insurance submission, so whatever, for example. So you can define these forms as per you. So you can say that I want to ask this question: who is the name, what brand, year of manufacture, so whatever you want to have it. Okay, you can design your own forms and you can publish to the user's interface. So that user can go ahead and put the information, and then when he click on submit, this information will be go to GoAnywhere, and now you decide where to store this information, whether you want to write it to a database, or you want to write it to an XML file, or you want to call it and upload it to an application. Whatever you want, you can actually do it. So that's another beauty of the solution, where it will allow you to do the move from a normal forms to digital forms. And we can integrate with cloud systems. So if you have any, currently you are having any cloud systems in place like Dropbox or Google Drive or OneDrive, and you want to do an automation or an integration, we can do that. That means maybe your third parties are uploading file to your OneDrive. So what you can do is GoAnywhere can go connect to that OneDrive. Whenever a file has been placed, it can go pick the file and place it to your network. Or if you want to upload a file to OneDrive, GoAnywhere can take the file and push it to OneDrive. So these kind of integrations we can do through OneDrive. We support a lot of huge cloud connectors. For example, Salesforce, Box, OneDrive, Google Drive. So we have a number of connectors for that. Now another one is executing the native commands or SSH commands. So for example, if you have some kind of a batch scripts, or you have some kind of an SSH commands to be fired, or you have some native commands to fire to your switches or your routers or your firewalls, or you have some other kind of batch script you want to run it on a schedule wise, you can easily create all this kind of projects in GoAnywhere. And the other one is scheduler, monitor, trigger. So as I was showing before, you don't need to rely on any kind of third parties. You have everything in place. You can simply go and create your own projects. And if you already have the holiday calendars, so you can say that on your off days like Fridays and Saturdays, you don't want that project to be executed, so you can have your own schedulers configured. And we have a gateway component along with that. So gateway components, especially when you are as a BFSI, so basically when you are publishing your solution, you can actually integrate with GoAnywhere gateway platform. So that will make sure that you don't need to open any ports at all. That means whatever traffic from internet is coming to your in your network, it will come and connect to gateway, which is sitting in your DMS zone. And your application is always sitting in your LAN network. That means application is not at all exposed. So you don't need to expose any port. Everything comes in the gateway, which is on DMZ. And then the communication will happen between gateway and application. So there's a very secure layer. And you can make sure that none of the files resides in the DMZ, and none of your applications are being exposed. And this is the complete visibility of your network. It shows you it gives you what is happening, who is accessing, what is accessing, how many files you send, how many files you received, who is a top user, everything you can see from a complete visibility. And we in fact have a PCI DSS report as well. And even if your auditors comes and ask you like, I want to know whether this application is fully comply with PCI DSS standard, definitely you can tell them that, and it is full. We have a specific report also for that. So with that, I think we just covered the use cases, around 13-14 use cases I just covered specifically for the BFSIs. and definitely this will help you if you have any kind of concerns or you are facing some challenges currently with respect to file transfers automation. Definitely, we can help you. We can issue probably POCs or how you like to see. If you want to have an other sessions, we can help you with that. So with that, I will move to the question answer session. If you have any questions, definitely we can discuss at this point. Okay, so we got a question from Fahad. He's asking how much is the memory and consumption of the client agent. So the agent is basically if you have any scenarios, like if you have a branch office or you have some customers and they don't have any SFTP or others kind of servers, and you want to install an agent over there, then in that case only you can install an agent, and then you can instruct that agent what kind of activities you want to have it. For example, you are monitoring a folder, and if there is a file comes, you want to encrypt that file or you want to zip that file and push it back to your central location. So suppose if that is your use cases, then it depends on what functionalities you want. If you want only an encryption or you want only a compression, the memory usage will be very limited, because that agent it doesn't take much of the resources. And if you have very multiple tasks to be done, then based on that we need to assign the memory. So it's totally dependent on what kind of projects you are going to do and how frequently you want the project. So any other questions from your side?
Hi, Shibu. I think there's one more question here about the SFTP transfers. That is mainly the SFTP transfers between two entities. That is from the bank to one of their corporate clients. So how they can can they create folders, or can they set permissions? Could you please clarify that?
Yes, definitely. You can create your own projects. So as I was showing to you here, when you go to, you can create your own folders. For example, I'm choosing central bank. So if I go to the folder, I can create my own virtual folders here. So what kind of folders I want to map it for each users, I can do that. That means if you're talking about an SFTP to SFTP functionality, suppose if central bank or another bank is having their own SFTP, and you have GoAnywhere SFTP. Now you want to do a file transfer between the SFTP to SFTP. Yes, you can easily do that through the workflow. Okay, so that means you can say that connect to that SFTP using the username and password or an SSH key, whatever you would like to have it for the authentication. And after that, system can go ahead, pull the file or push the file. So whatever activities you want, you can do that. So as I was showing previously, when it comes to the SFTP, we have a lot of functionality which you can do it. So suppose if you go to the SFTP, for example, here, when you choose an SFTP, you can decide this kind of functionality: get, pull, append, change, rename, delete. What functionality you want to achieve in SFTP, you can do that. And if you already have you want to create some virtual folders automatically, you can also do that, as I was showing here. When you go to the users, and you can select in a group level or a user level, and you can say that you want to create some virtual folders for them, you can create it. And you can mention what kind of privileges or permissions you want to assign. You want to give only list or download, or you don't want other options to be given, you can actually disable that. So he will be able to only list, see and download the file, or he will be able to only upload the file. Based on your requirement, you can do that. You can add this on a user level or a group level. If you want to give a limitation for the space, you can put 100 GB or how much of files you want to give it, you can do that as well. So I hope it's clear. Any other questions, sorry?
No, Shibu, I think that is it about the questions. But if you have any questions, you can of course come back to us. We have our local team also in Saudi, and of course you can get back to the DataY team. They'll be the best people to address your requirements as well, and we could address your queries well as well. So in case if anybody needs any a detailed webinar or a detailed session or a detailed demo on pertaining to your requirements, then of course we can address that as well, once we hear from you. So please feel free to contact the DataY team or people in Saudi as well. So we have Muhammad Asif, who's the Regional Manager for KSA from our side. So I'm just sharing Asif's contact also in in the chat window. You can get that as well, and of course you can, as I mentioned, you can contact the Data team also. So thank you everybody for joining. So if you have any questions, please get back to us. And also we have a feedback survey questionnaire at the end of the webinar. So you can kindly fill that up as well for us. So that's it from our side. So thanks all for joining and have a great day.